This conference will now be recorded.
All right, I'd like to call the New Richland City Council regular meeting for April 13th to order. Everyone is here. We also have Jason Moran, City Attorney, here with us as well. We'll say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have one change that we need to add for new business for EDA grant approval for New Richland Liquor.
Added in new business.
Under new business, yeah.
Motion to approve the agenda with additions. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda items?
A motion to approve consent agenda item.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mm. All right, so we have public comments. We're gonna start with public comment with anything that's not pertaining to Radio Link, because we'll do a separate public comment for later during that time frame. So if anybody would like to speak about anything related not to Radio Link at the moment, that they are free to do that. All right, if nobody has anything, we'll move on. Requests and presentations.
All right. Fidium Internet is requesting a 1-year moratorium on service drop permitting, effectively to mitigate how much stuff has to come before you and remove long lead time on fiber being above ground. So basically they'll be able to bury it as they're working. Additionally, they are see here, offering $5,000 to cover permitting for the project, the moratorium, and then help offset the time that maintenance will spend on locates.
Mm-hmm.
Move that we approve Fidium's request for the 1-year moratorium.
All in favor? Aye. Oh, yeah. Thanks. Buddy. All right. Ordinances and resolutions.
So we have a draft resolution, or sorry, draft ordinance rather, that has to do with the bunkhouse ordinance that we've been kind of discussing since last month. Jason Moran and I worked on developing this, and it's hit your inboxes for comment. And I am now going to read it in its entirety. So buckle up. City of New Richland, Waseca County, Minnesota, ordinance number 26-03, an ordinance establishing standards, licensing, and inspection requirements for bunkhouse housing for migrant agricultural workers and allowing such housing as a conditional use in specified districts. The City Council of the City of New Richland ordains as follows. Section 1, short title. This ordinance may be cited as the Migrant Worker Bunkhouse Housing Ordinance. Section 2, purpose and findings. A, purpose. The purpose of this ordinance is to allow and regulate bunkhouse housing used to accommodate migrant agricultural workers within the city to safeguard health and safety and to ensure compliance with applicable federal and state standards, including the Migrant and Seasonal Agricultural Worker Protection Act, the MSPA, housing requirements, and Minnesota's migrant labor camp rules. B, findings. The City Council finds 1, providing lawful, safe, and sanitary housing that supports agricultural operations and worker well-being. 2, the Migrant Seasonal Protection Act, MSPA, requires pre-occupancy inspections and ongoing compliance with housing standards 3, Minnesota law regulates migrant labor camps and authorizes permits, sanitation, occupancy, and facility standards. 4, this ordinance promotes public health, safety, and welfare. Section 3, authority. This ordinance is adopted pursuant to the city's police powers and zoning authority under Minnesota law, including Minnesota statute, chapter 412, statutory cities, and Minnesota statute, subsection 462.357, zoning. Section 4, definitions. For the purpose of this ordinance, a bunkhouse, a building or portion thereof used to house migrant agricultural workers in group sleeping quarters in shared common facilities, kitchen, sanitation, laundry, not intended for permanent residence. B, migrant agricultural worker. A worker is defined under MSPA, an individual employed in agricultural employment of a seasonal or temporary nature who is required to be absent overnight from his permanent place of residence. C, operator. The owner, agricultural employer, farm labor contractor, association, or other person who provides or controls the housing. D, MSPA housing standards. Housing standards applicable under MSPA, including OSHA temporary labor camp standards, 29 CFR subsection 1910.142, or ETA/H2A housing standards, 20 CFR part 654, subpart E, when applicable, and any state or local standards that are more protective. Section 5, use allowance and zoning. A, district. A bunkhouse is allowed as a conditional use in the following districts: A, agricultural, R, residential, and C, commercial, when serving lawful agricultural operations within or proximate to the city. B, conditional use. When classified as a conditional use, approval shall be granted upon findings of compliance with sections 6 through 11 of this ordinance and the city's general conditional use criteria. New Richland City Code 1040.09. C, site standards, setbacks and buffering. Shall be compliant with setbacks allowed by the current zoning of the buildings being utilized. 2, parking and access. Off-street parking for residents and service vehicles, safe pedestrian access, emergency vehicle access, compliance with fire code. 3, capacity. Maximum occupancy is as approved in the license and consistent with applicable housing standards and egress capacity or fire code. 4, full compliance with all provisions of the city's municipal code, including but not limited to the city's nuisance property ordinances. 5, subject property must be in good standing regarding the payment of any governmental permit fees, utility fees, and the payment of real estate taxes and/or assessments. Section 6, city bunkhouse license, annual. A, license required. No person may operate a bunkhouse unless the city issues an annual bunkhouse license for the site and structure. B, application. The operator shall file an application with the city clerk including 1, site plan and floor plan, sleeping area, sanitation, kitchen, laundry, egress, fire safety. 2, expected occupancy and worker profiles, H2A and non-H2A. 3, fire and life safety compliance documentation. 4, water supply and sewage disposal documentation. 5, management plan, house rules, compliant process, posting, maintenance. 6, contact persons for 24/7 response. 7, insurance and bond if required by city council resolution. 8, the payment of any fees required for the application. C, fees. License fees shall be set according to the city's fee schedule as it is amended from time to time. D, term and renewal. Licenses expire annually on the 31st of May and may be renewed upon showing continued compliance with this ordinance and all applicable standards. The renewal fee shall be set according to the city's fee schedule as it is amended from time to time. E, denial, suspension, revocation. The city may deny, suspend, or revoke a license for noncompliance, misrepresentation, violation of the city's municipal code, or failure to maintain standards as set forth herein and as set forth pursuant to any local, state, or federal laws or rules and regulations following notice and hearing per section 11. Section 7, pre-occupancy inspection, certificate of occupancy. A, pre-occupancy inspections required. The operator shall obtain all required pre-occupancy housing inspections and approvals before any worker occupies the housing, including 1, MSPA compliance demonstrated by inspection under applicable federal standards, OSHA 29 CFR, subsection 1910.142 or ETA standards where applicable. 2, city inspections for life safety, building, and zoning compliance. B, city certificate of occupancy. Upon satisfactory inspections, the city shall issue a certificate of occupancy for bunkhouse housing stating the maximum occupancy and effective seasonal dates. C, posting. The certificate shall be posted conspicuously in the housing and maintained currently at all times consistent with MSPA disclosure requirements. Section 8, minimum standards incorporation by reference. A, standards hierarchy. Bunkhouse housing shall meet or exceed the most protective of 1 ETA or H2A housing standards 20 CFR Part 654 Subpart E when applicable and as amended from time to time. 2. City Building and Fire Codes, Minnesota State Building and Fire Code as adopted by the city and is amended from time to time. B. Operations and maintenance. Operators shall 1. Maintain facilities in sanitary safe condition. 2. Provide potable water, adequate sewage disposal, and refuse service. 3. Ensure safe heating, ventilation, and electrical systems. 4. Provide 1 bed per occupant and sufficient floor area and egress consistent with the standards above. 5. Keep common kitchens, bathing toilets, and laundry facilities functional and clean. 6. Implement pest control. 7. Maintain unobstructed exits and posted emergency procedures. 8. Ensure that the operation does not violate any local, state, or federal rules, regulations, codes, or statutes. 9. Ensure that the operation is fully compliant and in good standing with regard to payment of any city-related taxes, assessments, or utilities. C. Transportation and disclosure if provided. If the operator transports workers or collects housing charges, the operator shall comply with MSPA transportation and disclosure requirements, including truthful written terms and receipts. Section 9. Worker notices and records. A. Posting requirements. Operators shall post 1. The city certificate of occupancy and maximum occupancy. 2. House rules and emergency contacts. 3. A notice of workers' rights and complaint procedures consistent with MSPA. 4. Any MDH permit and inspection summaries if required. B. Record keeping. Operators shall maintain for 3 years 1. License and inspection records. 2. Occupancy logs. 3. Maintenance and repair logs. 4. Any MSPA disclosures, receipts related to housing charges, if any. Section 10. Complaints, inspections, and enforcement. A. Complaint intake. The city administrator shall receive complaints regarding housing conditions and coordinate with MDH and DOL/WHD as appropriate. B. Administrative orders. The city may issue orders to correct violations, stop occupancy if imminent health safety hazard, and assess administrative penalties as authorized by city code. C. Coordination with state federal agencies. The city may refer violations and cooperate with MDH and DOL/WHD regarding MSPA enforcement. D. Penalties. Violations shall be subject to administrative citation, civil penalties, or misdemeanor prosecution as allowed by city code and state law. Remedies include license suspension, revocation, and denial of future licenses. Any violation of the terms and conditions of this ordinance shall constitute a misdemeanor offense and be subject to a fine of up to $1,000 incarceration of up to 90 days in the county jail and/or both. A separate violation shall occur for each day that a violation exists. Section 11. Appeals. An operator may appeal a license, action, or administrative order to the city council within 10 days of notice. The council shall hold a hearing and issue a written decision. This local appeal does not limit state or federal enforcement rights. Section 12. Non-retaliation. Operators shall not discharge, evict, or retaliate against workers for good faith complaints regarding housing conditions or for cooperation with inspections consistent with MSPA anti-retaliation provisions. Section 13. Severability. If any provisions of this ordinance is found invalid, the remainder shall remain in effect. Section 14. Effective date. This ordinance takes effect upon publication as provided by law passed by the City Council of the City of Richland on this day, blank day of blank 2026. And that completes the reading. I'm gonna have a drink of water.
So what's our next step? Hold a public hearing?
So a public hearing will be at the next council meeting, but if you guys have any corrections or changes you wish to see, then now's a good time to make any changes.
I do have one. On the appeals, it says they can appeal it within 10 days,
Mhm.
and the council shall hold a hearing. Do we have to have a certain many of days to answer back?
No,
Or would it be prudent to put something in there?
we certainly could. Yeah. Take a look at that section. An operator may appeal a license, action, or administrative order to the city council within 10 days of notice. We could insert a sentence that, well, we go on a little further here. The council shall hold a hearing and issue a written decision within how many days?
I was gonna say within 30,
30, yeah, 30 would be standard.
like a month is,
Yeah.
I think, pretty fair.
Well, let me catch you for the next meeting.
You catch the next meeting. You don't have to do a special meeting for it then.
Yeah, so let's pencil that in.
I have just a question, not of this. Isn't the building being brought up to code by the owner of the building now, and that's not the person that's gonna be the bunkhouse operator, correct?
It's all the same.
It's all the same owner.
All the
Okay.
same. People that are fixing it and everything are the owners of everything.
But I thought Holland is the operator and Leonardo's are the owners of the building. Is that correct?
Well, they're gonna work from that now.
Yeah,
They're
it's
gonna
all.
Live under Keith's.
Yeah.
Oh,
Call it
okay.
staff and they're.
Okay.
And they're
okay,
leasing
that
it.
way. This is separate completely. They're just
they're helping
coming to
them
him
out.
after being with these guys. Okay.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but before that building was left vacant for a long time, wasn't there something to do with water and sewer that was really bad in that building?
Shut off the neck for not paying it at one point.
And I presume that
And
would
it
be
was-
fixed before.
Yeah, of course, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't be inside all that.
I mean, they have inspection, they have building permits for it.
Thanks.
And it should be inspected prior to issuance of the license. It should be
Mhm.
inspected to verify that it's fully compliant with code.
Yeah, because $1,000 fine is pretty good every day.
Mhm.
That adds up.
One thing that you guys do need to discuss is what do you want the fee to be? The annual license fee.
What is our rental fees now?
I was just gonna say, what are other things, something similar to that on our fee schedule?
On our fee schedule, is it per, how many units are in the building or?
And you don't have to decide that tonight. Should have an idea as to where you want to land with it at the public hearing.
Yeah, because I don't know.
Just keep in mind, it is an annual license, so.
Right.
This isn't anything that's gonna be 2, 3, 5 years, so.
But I don't think it's gonna be occupied year round.
No,
Correct,
it cannot be according to standards.
correct.
So rental property up to 3 units right now is $90 a year.
It's 3 units, could be 3 families, correct?
Correct.
In 3 families, they're probably gonna be 10 to 15 people, maybe total at the most. I mean,
And
One
the
family.
rental inspection fee for each additional unit is 35. So each additional one is 3.
and this is good for 26 people. Is that correct? Or, I mean, maybe that's what I thought I heard Matt tell me. There's gonna have 26 drivers. I think he said that.
That I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't heard a specific number.
Somewhere around there, yeah. Was what I was told. We'll talk about it.
I'm just throwing this out here to start.
Mhm.
What about 3 families? Pay that price. Because there's 26. We just thrown it out to discuss and bring back next time.
Well, the fees will be on our fee table, and there's some other fees that we should probably look at too in the process. So we can, I mean, we can set the initial fee because the Leonardos are wanting to get this happening soon. But there's other things that we can also look at the same time. So.
We'll just table it this thing.
You should make a motion to accept the first reading, which
Yeah.
this was, and then incorporate into that motion date and time for public
Public
hearing.
hearing.
I'll make that motion. We accept the first reading of the ordinance and set the public hearing for Monday, May 11th, our next meeting date at 6:35.
For the public.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a.
Are you seconding that?
Yeah.
All right.
Setting off the sirens for weather.
So there's no official touchdown rate. Yeah.
Do we wanna,
You.
do we wanna keep proceeding or do we wanna wait? Okay. So you're making a second motion? Is that what we heard?
Second, Joey's motion.
All right. Anybody have any other discussion on it? Otherwise,
Can we have Ty bring back what we discussed for the changes of that time frame?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, that'll be included.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Ambulance report?
So ambulance report, April 2026, nothing to report on the crew. They were at 21 runs for the year. They received the loading system for the new cot, just waiting on the cot, which they said should be delivered next week. Once that's delivered, Holly from Furno will get the installer scheduled. They'll be taking the old cot and try to get some money back from it. Also working on selling the old monitor so that we can get some money back from that also. Hopefully that goes well. This is all I have to report, she said.
I make a motion to accept the ambulance report.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Fire department?
During the month of March, there were 2 medical calls and 1 fire call. The training activity was an LP burn.
Make a motion to accept the fire department report.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Police department?
New Richland Police Department responded to 122 calls for service for the month of March. Total calls through March 2026, 303. Total calls through March 2025, 376. 17 assist other agency, 25 lockout, directed patrol, 31 traffic stops, 7 animal complaints, and 6 ordinance violation. Most calls requiring additional follow-up have been completed. As always, they remind people to get in touch with them if they have any information regarding incidents that have occurred in the city of New Richland or surrounding areas. Radio encryption has been completed. New radios are in use. The CIS shared records annual payment of $1,385 and the SCDIU annual payment of $4,500, both things previously authorized. And 260 had an oil change, and upcoming is the countywide bike rodeo on Friday, May 7th from 4 to 7 p.m. at Waseca County Fairgrounds. Activities include teaching kids proper bike safety, fitting helmets, food, and music.
All right.
You guys hear that?
Perfect. She need a motion.
You say that again?
Those payments, I-
Those were already approved.
Make a motion to accept the police department report.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Evening, everybody. All right. So the Care Center report, average census, we started in January was 33.27. Our annual average from 2025 was 35.93. February, we went up to 37.29, and in March it was 36. Currently, we are at 36 today. I think we're expecting 2 more people move in by the end of the week.
What will that make it?
What's that? 38, yeah. So, look at our, all of the managed care, Medicaid, Medicare, and private. We've been doing very well on that. Many, probably an average of 4 of our Medicaid people per month have been hospice people. So we've gone through a lot of, people, so to speak. They come to us and they pass away peacefully. Medicare and managed care, probably 30% of those people do not return home, and they stay to be long-term care residents. So really actually good numbers there. The financial piece in January, revenue of 445, Expenses of 425 for an income of 19,000. February, we did lose money, but we didn't get to bill for 3 days, so. Yeah, January. We got billed, we don't get to bill. And then we've been in January, February, we were, working. There were a lot of people doing doubles. Or doubling up the cost because we had new people coming in and you couldn't bring them in and just throw them on the floor. You have to train them. So then you also had agency staff cost attached to that. If you look below there in the staffing, I did make, this is, looking at these, our rosters improved typically of 5 to 8 shifts open for CNAs per week. That's down from, I don't know, 20 last September. We've been doing great. 14 to 16 open nursing shifts per week, typically evenings and overnights. We just got one of our new nurses, an RN. She came from Iowa, I believe, and she's going to be working full-time evenings. So that'll clean up a lot of those slots. We do need another overnight nurse or another evening nurse. Still looking, we got 3 maybes in the fire, right? Went through our annual survey 2 weeks ago. We were deficiency free.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic survey. Team did a great job. This is a magnificent achievement. Pretty rare that you get deficiency free. We're still trying to think of how we're going to celebrate. So hopefully get that done this week. Any questions for me?
Did I read that there was a moratorium placed on the mandatory increase on wages for all Minnesota nursing staff? Yeah. But you had planned
The
for that.
day after
You put in the.
I put it in.
Has the audit been completed yet?
They are just about done.
All done.
Yep.
Oh, we can't do ours until you do yours.
Well, I know that. But
Oh,
nursing homes are a little more complicated.
it's been 7 months.
Oh.
October, right?
Yeah. 6 months.
Okay, 6 months. October, then.
Actually, really,
This is April, this is 7 months.
on time.
Mhm.
We talked to the Vinyl King and increase the speed of that. Yeah, Dale Siegfried, yeah. All right.
All right.
Any other questions?
Well, thank you.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Bob.
Make a motion to accept the care center report.
Second.
Any discussion or otherwise say aye?
All right.
Or all in favor? Shell?
Yes.
I put your request right up front. For the pump maintenance agreement.
Oh, yes, yes. That is who we've used for many, many years, so. Yeah, usually you guys kind of handle agreeing to that. So, come to one time meeting unless we need them.
Effectively, there's 8 pumps that need to be inspected at a cost of $1,310 per inspection. Does that sound right? So a total of $10,480 for the 8 pump inspections.
They pull them all. Yeah.
Not even in the bathtub had to be fixed when they pull them.
Well, one of them had to be replaced and one of them parts, what was that last year, or the year before? Another one at Napa, I think the veins on the
I remember that now.
spin, broke off
Okay.
from the rocks and things. So.
Well, this is every year we do this, right?
You expecting any bad news?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Floats, we replaced some floats, they go back.
Want to make a motion or?
Do we want her to keep going first? Does anybody have discussion about it?
Make a motion, we accept the scheduled pump maintenance request from Midwest.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I had 5.559 gallons of wastewater that came in. Eric pumped 2 million gallons, so we've got a little extra I. And I only had 2.81 inches of rain, so still looking for it. Hopefully when they do the southeast side of town, we'll see some remnants of some water coming in or something. But it's a lot. So it's hard to treat rainwater. So doing my best. Trickling filter ladder and the influent building bar screen that should be coming pretty soon. So I'll get those installed. All the chemicals arrived for the May 1st startup for the season. All the samples were done for March. It's a quarterly, so there's a lot more samples on the quarter. I would suggest the next time there's a big update out at the plant that the return pumps, they are made to have water run through them to keep them cool. When water is off, you have to shut them down, which is not really what you want to do. Or you'd have to maybe put some tanks in there with water in there. It isn't a lot of water, but if you don't, you'll burn the seals. So, but just in your next update, whatever year that might be, I would definitely get a mechanical seal pump and not deal with this water business.
You have an idea of a plan of when that should be done?
Let's decide to do any major updates out there. I mean, there is a list.
Yeah, I know.
We got a lot of concrete and a lot of pits that concrete's falling off. Old stuff out there that just one day will need to get updated. And they're doing everything different now, so you might get a better product than you did in 1965.
Hope so.
So that's the hope. But yeah, just keep thinking about some of the old stuff that's out there, and you're gonna have to update sooner or later. I land applied on Friday, 51,778 gallons to the south field. Went smooth as ever. So it was a good day and we got it done. And I'm still looking for different alarms. I still have to get a hold of Eric, see what he's using.
So we discussed that, using the same equipment that Eric has in the treatment plant. It's about $1,600 per alarm. How many alarms do you need?
I have one in the chlorine, one in the SO2 room. There should be an H2S alarm in the Freeland building. I've never done that. And one in the basement for methane.
4 alarm,
Yeah.
$6,400 ish. But that was we installed those back in January, right?
Who
So
did you go through? Alden?
No, I passed away.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah, his son was doing it. Yeah, or the brand. The brand. Okay.
I gave
yeah,
it.
yeah, we have that information now.
Oh,
Well,
sure.
so we can.
Because two of them are different than the other two. Two are chemical alarms. The other two are not.
So we have the chlorine alarms is what we have the
Yeah,
information
I have
for.
chlorine. I have sulfur dioxide, which he doesn't have that, but it's a little bit different than chlorine on an alarm. And then the methane and the hydrogen down in the basement in the prelims, so it's a little bit different.
We'll continue to refine before we come with a good request for you then.
Yeah. Or let me see what they're covering. That
Right.
would, sure.
Alarms and sensors and stuff are they should be non-negotiable, really. It's a lot of plants operate with 2 people for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a guessing game when I'm just out there. So yeah, if I could get that information and look and make sure we get the right chemical alarm, especially in the basement, that would be nice. Otherwise, yeah, not a whole lot else, just getting ready for summer, so. Questions?
As always, thank you for taking care of our
Yeah,
plant.
going pretty good. Let's get rid of that rainwater.
Amen.
Yeah.
It's too hard to treat it.
Make a motion to accept the people service report.
One second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Eric.
It's gonna go pretty fast, then I'll ask question, ask her questions afterwards. I'm gonna start out with snow. Braden and I figured we had about 33 inches this year. It's not on the sheet here. Couple things that have got moved up, as I turned this in a week early now. JNR, with the bell, with their bell, anyway, exercising, he got done today, so that's getting actually bumped up. We've got out at the park here, that's 100% done. The Legion Field, we're at about 90% done. And out at the lake, we're about 50% done. Hydrant flushing, hopefully Thursday, all depends what's gonna happen with this weather. All I have. Any questions or got anything? A lot going on right now. It's just sun comes out, we're moving. So
You need approval on that beach sand?
Yeah.
no, not really.
Not,
Not really. No.
okay.
So I just put it on there just so everyone can kind of see what we got going on.
Well, the tire that on the blue truck, you called me, and I believe you spoke with Josh about the expense on that. What did that come up
And
to?
I talked to
Jim?
me.
Okay. Oh, all right. So we're good on that.
Which blue truck is that?
Big blue.
Big one?
Blue truck.
Okay.
Their original front steer tires on there.
I don't know how that's gotten past the DOT inspection.
It was at JNR right out here a couple days ago.
Should
Was that
be.
JNR right out here the other day with the white truck? Yellow. Yep. That was on. And he is camping right by the water tower. Well, we let him do it last year too. He goes out on the weekends and. Well, you know. Questions?
No.
The cleanup day, citywide cleanup day. Plan.
It's kind of got bumped off on that.
Yeah, May didn't work for any staff
No,
and everything.
or them.
And then they were really busy, so we were looking at August 15th, but that is fair time.
Oh,
So they were worried about that too. So we're possibly looking into September to see what works for them and for staff to be available as well.
And if that doesn't work, I want to written out for next.
Yeah, it seems like springs that would work well. I realize if they can't do it and we can't.
Absolutely.
Well, and then our other discussion was last year, it almost wasn't worth it. It was really quiet compared to previous years. So we were like, well, maybe play it by ear with bad weather and
Which is a good.
yeah. So we're looking into September, but if it just doesn't work for them or us, we'll figure something out for next year and have it right early next year.
maybe the discussion of every other year is something too.
Do we
Yeah.
have any data on what it looked like last year compared to previous years?
Yeah, I mean, I keep everything in a big folder and stuff and yeah.
I believe the current contract is that it's done every year,
That's
so
what I meant,
we're
so.
we're paying
Yeah,
for
the
it.
contract.
Paying for it.
basically,
Paying for it regardless, so.
We get a deal basically with the contract, so, might as well take advantage of it if we can. So we're just trying to see what works for everyone.
It was just informed today too, now Wasika County's got Sense Serve again. We were going with Blue Earth.
Yeah.
So now we can get these guys back in there again.
Excellent.
But it's a good thing for everyone.
Mhm.
With that.
Right.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Make a motion to accept the maintenance and utility report.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Economic Development Authority.
So Dave's been really good about providing reports on what he's been doing. He met with Bob at the care center for researching funding for the van services, which was a really good idea. Potential childcare facility and housing units. Ended up reaching out to Miller Homes for that as well. I think that's going to hinge on us making sure that that ground around the care center is going to stay dry. So we're still working on that. And then conversation with business owners about potential food truck funding options, and conversations with the engineer on feasibility study of the Odd Fellows building. I'm not fully up to speed on what all is going on there. And then conversation with business owner looking to update facility to accommodate other potential tenant. We have a couple buildings on Main Street here that are sitting unoccupied or not being used for intended commercial purposes. So we're exploring what we could do to try to get those back on Main Street, so to speak. And so there's no action required with the development authority. Excuse me, mouth is still dry. Right. Good.
I've asked this again, and I'll bring it up again. Are we contracted for enough hours that we're seeing bang for the buck with the EDA at this point, do we think? Or is that something that we could look into potentially? I know they were at like 10 hours.
Yeah, I think that we're getting our 10 hours of value. I think that for sure. I think as we start gearing up into being a little bit more ambitious, we should look at upping that amount.
Just seems like 10 hours, not a lot.
He's very industrious in the 10 hours. So I will speak to that.
You don't need a motion?
Nope.
Okay.
No motion.
All right. Unfinished business, December 2025 check register.
Came back with all the information filled in as you requested last month. This was a late edition of this morning. Apologize for that.
Positive promotions for the police. December.
That I believe was the swag for the career fair to try to recruit. And then we also have the January right after this one too. Get February in? It's on the agenda, but it didn't get done in time. Need a motion to accept the register.
Anybody have any questions on it?
One motion for both of them, good? Yeah.
Yeah, no one has discussion on either one.
Make a motion to accept December and January check register. Well, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Race check register did not make it on there. So, okay. I'm gonna do a comment for Radio Link, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna go into Radio Link Internet. We'll do the public comment here first for if anybody would like to speak on behalf of that topic, they can do so now. Just have come up to the podium, state your name and address.
At the podium, please. That way the microphone catches you.
My name's Keith Johnson, and I had Radio Link, years back. And anyways, I went with GigFire, and GigFire service was poor. The internet cost me way more money. We were down without internet for about 4 months. And anyways, they said they were gonna reimburse our money. I still yet have gotten the money back anyway. I got a hold of Dan. Dan came out, got hooked up with Radio Link, and he had a couple problems, but he was able to take care of it. Why don't you guys stay with a local person like Dan? I mean, if it's a water tower issue about the money, I mean, why do you want to run a small business out of it? I thought everybody here was going to try to help a small business person, not run them out. I got another abandoned farm place down a gravel road on 220th Avenue. They're trenching in cable. Yep. I asked them about coming to my place if they run Radio Link out. They said they're not coming on the south side of Highway 30. So a guy like me that needs internet for online schooling for my daughter and others out there, what are we supposed to do for internet? Let GigFire come in and raise the rates way up? I mean, there's other people that are on the water tower in Richland. Why can't Dan be on there? Why does Dan have to take his stuff off? I was married years ago, and I went through child support. I'm sure everybody knows child support. That was income based. It was 25% for one kid, 33 for two. Yes, the people that made way more money than me, their child support was more. My child support was less because I made less. You got a local guy that's coming in here that if you get somebody on the water tower and they want $2,000 a month, you guys, and him being a small business that's not a multi-million-dollar company, you still want $2,000 from him? Why can't you set a rate of what do you think he's got to pay? Right now, there's nobody here giving him a chance. People have come to me and said, Keith, what are you going to do for internet? I said, I don't know. I mean, there's only so many internet providers out there. I think Dan deserves at least a chance to work a deal with you guys on how much it would cost to stay on the water tower. If he goes off the water tower, there's like 500 people that are going to lose the internet. When, with the GigFire, and I'm not bashing them, but we had problems with it. We had to go to Austin to this person's yard and get a receiver. And they said, hopefully that works. It didn't work. Okay, we're updating our equipment. All right, explain that to my daughter when she's got online schooling. Where are we supposed to go for internet? You know what they said? Go elsewhere. So I did. When I had problems with Dan and it wasn't right, I called him. Not the next day. That day he was out. He didn't say try this or try that. He came out and fixed the problem. I just hope you guys can work out a deal with Radio Link. I mean, a small business, small community, let us help a small business guy get going. That's what I look at. I mean, he can't compete with GigFire and these big multi-million-dollar companies, nor if I lose his internet, I will be probably stuck to not having internet or going with somebody else. And the price is a lot more. That's the only thing I have. I just hope you give the guy a chance. If you can work something out, but it's this kind of money, this is what we got to do. For listening.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Yep.
All right, is there anybody else that would like to speak regarding this topic? Okay. Hi.
My name's Bob Swindon. I live in town here. And after last month's meeting, where an hour of my life disappeared while we were being gaslit about how a contract isn't really a contract, I went in and I read the whole thing and I analyzed it. And I am here to speak against approving the contract as presented to the council. The first reason being that if you look at the second recital, the recitals are those whereas is at the beginning of everything. The second one says that the lessee owns the water tower already. And he's just leasing it from himself, basically, which is just patently absurd, obviously, but that would be the first one. That just jumped right out at me at the beginning. And when you go through the rest of it, it reads like it was cut and paste from someone who's leasing space off of a comm tower. In that it looks like it's fair, but overall agency and everything in the contract itself rests strictly in Radiolink. Radiolink can call it off by notifying you 60 days in advance and say, that's it, we're out of here. You can't do the same thing, because anything that the council would want to do, anything New Richland wants to do, would have to take and be subject to the same 60-day notice. And Radiolink can just say no for whatever reason they want. It has to, it's like, it would be like getting a second or an extra member of the council who has absolute veto control over anything you'd want to do with the tower. The third point is the remuneration versus the risks involved. Now, the contract as presented says $2,000 a year, which may or may not be fair depending on circumstances. But when you look at what could feasibly happen for the council, for the city of New Richland, you have any of the 3 or 4 agencies that have authority over things like water towers and things like that can come in. If there's anything wrong, if there's a fine levied, that fine is levied against the city of New Richland. It's not levied against Radiolink. And those fines, I only found one on the website for the Pollution Control Agency, but they start at like $10,000 for a single fine. They usually end up around 20, 25, something like that. And another part of it would be, and it ties in with one of my other points, is the insurance that's in there seems to be inadequate too. It says in the contract that Radiolink will carry $1 million insurance policy, which sounds like a lot of money until you consider that Albert Lee just replaced a water tower a couple of years ago, and that cost him reportedly between $5 or $7 million, which if it was someone else's responsibility, that $1 million insurance policy, if it was Radiolink's, responsibility for it, isn't going to cover 20%, and the rest of it's going to fall on the citizens here in New Richland. And the other is, let's see, contract enforcement is basically something that it's kind of an oddball thing. The contract, it would be between the city of New Richland and Radiolink. If the only way the city of New Richland can then take and recover any damages is to actually be harmed. If you get fined, you have to pay the fine, then hope that you can get it back after that. And the last point was the time given on the contract, which is 10 years. And a lot of leases for comm towers tend to run 10, 20, 30 years, things like that. But they're usually structured for 2 years to 5 years with an option to renew or reject at each thing. And since the other person mentioned the finances, the $2,000 a month, I'm a math type of guy. And last month, when the city attorney mentioned $2,000 a month, it was just, I can't do that. That's 5% of my gross. Well, that 5% is $40,000 a month. $40,000 a month is $480,000 a year. And that's what's been being collected for the last 8 years, that it hasn't had a contract and hasn't paid a nickel. So that's $3,840,000 that just left the community for no particular reason. And when you consider that with the 430 customers he had, they each pay an average of a little over $93. that $2,000 a month that the city attorney offered would only be an increase of something in the neighborhood of $4.50 per customer to take and make it up. And nobody heard anything about that, just gotta approve this contract so we can discuss it. Well, that's not the way contracts work. And so I would urge you to reject this contract. And if you do want to take and consider going, continuing with Radio Link, then take and have the city attorney draft up a contract that is amenable to you, and go from there. That's what it was. That's what Tony did February 7th of 2025, I believe it was. He took and he sent a memo to the city council saying that he had forwarded a contract to Radio Link. All they had to do, we're going to have it for the next meeting for you to approve. And here we are, more than a year later, nothing. And being told that this is what we're going to have to do or not at all. So I would urge you to reject the contract. And if you want to continue doing business, by all means, create a contract that's amenable to you and hopefully to Radio Link as well. I appreciate your taking the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is there anybody else that would like to speak? All right, if no one else would like to speak. Tyler, Jason, do you guys have?
Yeah, you want me to kind of tee it up?
Sure, yeah, that'd be
All right,
great.
How we left things at the last meeting, you guys were kind of knotted up, tied up 2-2. We were missing a council member. And so we weren't really able to advance the ball. What I did do shortly after that meeting is I did send out to Radio Link what I consider to be some salient discussion points in the event that you guys want to go forward with a contract. And that's essentially where we're at here tonight. I mean, if you guys want to do a contract, your motion would be to authorize Ty and I to start those discussions. And I have, through that email, I have had a little bit of correspondence about some potential areas where we might get some council consensus, maybe even here tonight, on if we're going to do a contract, what is that generally going to look like in terms of rent, in terms of duration, in terms of insurance. Whenever you boil it down, though, it really comes down to rent and duration. Again, that all assumes that you want to go forward with the contract. You have to weigh the pros and the cons of this thing. Do you even want to do a contract? And, if the answer to that is no, then we need to talk about decommission. The answer to that is yes, then we can start having some of those discussions about term and rent and so on and so forth. I wasn't your city attorney when this initial Radio Link contract was done long, long ago. Back then, I would have told you essentially what I told you at the last meeting, that the terms and the verbiage that is used, in my opinion, does not protect the city of New Richland. And my job as your attorney is to try to spot those issues and give you guidance on what is good for you and what is not good for you. I'll say that the current proposed contract is fairly general and fairly basic, my opinion. And there's a lot of things in there that we could put in there that would protect you guys. In the event that there's some damage to the tower or an employee gets injured out there, we can do a lot better than what you guys have been doing. And then the other thing is, again, it's me as your city attorney. I've negotiated 50, 100 different types of these contracts. And there is no one size fits all, but I would tell you that it is my opinion that you're getting very low rent. The $2,000 per year, I think, is very low. If you guys want to take $2,000, that's up to you. I take my marching orders from you guys. If you want to take the $2,000, you certainly can, but it would be remiss of me to point out that in Lee Center, I negotiated 2 there. Now, these are with major carriers. AT&T in Lee Center is paying $1,900 a month. T-Mobile is paying $1,692. In Elysian, they're getting $2,420 a month. Madison Lake, they're getting about $1,700 a month. Now, that's just a couple of cities, north of here, of course. Waseca, I think they get well in excess of 1,500, maybe even more than that. I think you're getting very low rent, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Now, how much should the rent be? We can have that discussion. But again, all of that presupposes that you even want to get into a contract. Maybe you don't. I mean, maybe you want to reserve space on the tower for a national carrier to come in. Maybe you don't want to take on the liability associated with a tower rental. That really is for you guys to decide. Whatever you decide, whatever orders you give me, Ty, we'll take the marching orders and we'll march with it. But I think we can do better. I think we should do better. Again, all of that presupposes that you want to do a contract. Your first guiding thing tonight is, do you want to do a contract? If the answer is no, then we shift to the decommissioning. The answer is yes, we start having some of these discussions. That was perfect.
Because of the salt coming in, there's no touch thing. So it's a lot of heavy rain and like hail coming in from the southwest.
I believe our plan is to evacuate to the fire hall if that becomes necessary. Yep. Okay. So just for housekeeping, the fire hall the door is basically to the left, just past the kitchen on the left, and one of our employees will let you in and will shelter in place should that become necessary.
I was done.
Okay.
Anybody have any discussion, questions?
You brought up a point that I never really thought of until now. If we do not continue with the plan for Radio Link, do we have a plan for anybody else coming on there to serve the residents that won't be served?
Yep. I don't believe that anybody else has reached out to us. We have,
It's not necessarily, I'm not of the belief that it's the city's responsibility to provide the infrastructure to any private company. Can we? Sure. I don't think it's our responsibility to have to have anything on our city infrastructure for a private business to succeed.
we have to look out for the residents within city that are the taxpayers that have to pay for that water tower. And just the liability of certain things. Eric, correct me if I'm wrong here, but state of Minnesota came in about, do we have a deadline of when some of that stuff has to be fixed that they required in there?
You guys all got that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't remember off the top of my
There
head.
was no deadline.
There was no
It
deadline.
just
Okay.
the cabling needs to be fixed.
It's just those types of things. Do we have the manpower to keep monitoring that, those types of things? I know we do have other agencies that have stuff on the tower, but they are a nonprofit, like the emergency staff for the county. That's what's up there.
Keep care of that stuff to make sure it's in line. Because it almost sounds like you're picking and choosing on who should be held accountable for anything that might be a detriment or make our employees go look at it. If it's up there in salmon and giving the okay, just like building this building over here. If it's okay, then it's okay until it's not okay. So why should we sit there and say we shouldn't have anything up there because it's not good for our community? I don't agree with that. If they can be up there and be safe and everything's good, if we make the decision to say, yes, they're up there, then why not? And if the nonprofits are up there, then why shouldn't they be up there?
Well, because the nonprofits that are up there are basically the first responder radio. And I'm not even sure if the school bus transportation. radio-
Transportation, which is basically like a government agency for
Yeah.
the school district.
So-
That's a nonprofit.
But it's all government agencies
Okay.
effectively beyond the scope of nonprofit.
Who checks to see if they're in compliance?
Well, the MDH report looked at all that stuff as
But I
part of that.
mean, does Eric or somebody like him look at that on a quarterly, annual basis?
Well, when MDH comes out and does inspections of the tower, that's when it gets noted.
Yeah.
And that would be doing the same thing for them if they were on there. Is that correct?
That's
Mhm.
what,
Okay,
That's what
so everybody's being
transpired it.
treated right.
Mhm.
It just sounded a little different there.
I'm sure you guys waiting for me to talk.
let the siren come down. Yeah. That way you don't have to scream this way. Now we're just having a staring contest to see who blinks.
At least we know the siren works.
All clear. It was a long one.
It's a long one. The siren works though.
That's the only sign I'm having fun. I think so.
It's the old one.
There we go.
All right, sir.
So to simplify a lot of discussions with the liability, a lot of stuff, but to also accommodate current people that are there. So this isn't a new provider we're talking about. With the liability that's been brought up, other things, it's the city would like for Radio Link to leave. We can do that. So we can leave the water tower. This is the third month. We're prepared to leave. The problem is to do it without impacting Greater New Richland people. It does take time. So they can maintain the services they've chosen. We're not leaving people without internet. So to simplify stuff, we're not looking to add, change things. The stuff that's there, we're going to transition. So it's not like we're adding things. If something goes bad, that'll get replaced or repaired, but we're not looking to add, change things, just 5 years and then we're gone. We're basically asking to simplify it, final 5-year contract, and then we're out, then you don't have to worry about us anymore. But we can then still take care of supporting the community.
I don't understand why it would take 5 years to decommission and get reestablished elsewhere on that.
So, permits, let's start with permits. How long does the city take to do permits? Is it, you got permits for the city, county, state, railroad, because there's fiber involved with this. Some of the permits can take over a year and that's if things are going smoothly. So it's how long the permits take in Richland, and that's if it's New Richland. Then you got county, that's if there's no changes. 5 years is the max. The goal is for it to be much quicker if the entire process goes smoothly. If the process goes smoothly, it can happen quicker. Not like we're going to be waiting. We're going to start.
but there can be a lot of issues that can come up that we have to deal with. So I'm trying to not be back here every month. You guys want to move on, do other things with your business. We want to move on with our business. So it gives time for a nice, smooth, safe transition.
Any discussion from anybody? Questions?
I read the last minutes, but I wasn't here for discussion like this, you know. What is your guys' thoughts about why you don't want to allow them to have the 5 years if they're gonna be gone at the end of the 5 years versus being gone in 30 days or 90 days? What's the difference if they're gone?
5-year thing is new tonight. I don't recall hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is new
this is
tonight.
new tonight for the 5 year.
The
That
5
proposal.
year was not proposed last.
Oh, okay.
The leaving is new. We accept that you don't want us on the water tower, and that's
Okay.
the city's choice.
Well, then that brings up a whole new discussion then, right?
That's why we're here. Type of rent are you proposing for that 5-year term?
So the original contract was $1,800 a year. And that gives us the capital to build these new structures, which are very expensive.
That contract was how many years ago?
13.
Okay. Things gone up since then.
Understood?
So would you be willing to pay more than the $1,800 for the 5 year? How much more? That's what I'm asking.
Okay.
That's gonna determine, I think, a lot of our yeses or nos here tonight.
Okay, with the contract, with the attorney's notes, there's a lot of things that impact. So if we start with the contract that was previously, so we can get into the water tower, period. We can get into it. We're gonna leave in 5 years. Is 2,000 a year sufficient? I guess. If we're really entertaining it, if it comes down to the dollar amount, if that's what the council wants, then come down to a hard dollar amount of what you need. I'm just asking, we're looking at lots of money to build the replacement, to run fiber, new structure, permitting, equipment. We have to build a parallel system while we do it.
How long would it take you to decommission this site?
Decommissioning can be done within a day. Just that site. That excludes customer, that excludes everything else.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Jason, if you had to say, what was the average of all these other towns, their monthly one? Would it be about 22, maybe 25?
Yeah, something there.
How about
Something
25?
there.
2,500 a year?
No.
What about a month?
Listeners should remember too that
They're
We're
not,
not here to negotiate this while we're here all this tonight. This is,
Deciding if we want.
we want to do a contract for him to work with Jason and
Be
Ty.
nice to know
Well, we gotta
particulars.
have a little food for thought.
I get that. I just want to make it
Clear that we're not gonna be trying to negotiate every line for line.
On comparing, our contract, like cell contract, just to give you a concept, standard cell contract is, 5 years, in essence, guaranteed renewal for 25 years, for a fixed rate, with escalator of 2% at each renewal. You also get guaranteed exclusivity. There's a lot of things that cell carriers get for that. So you've got the dollar amount and you got the top line number. But then, like with the questions that we went through, if you saw those, there's a lot of stuff that deducts from those questions. We're not asking for exclusivity. We're not asking to change stuff. that we just want to be able to take care of our customers and peacefully leave.
May I? So if the cell providers are wanting exclusivity and you're not, aren't you effectively asking for exclusivity through a back door? Or am I mistaken? So if anybody else that would come on wants exclusivity, but you're already there, aren't you kind of getting exclusivity in the process?
They're looking for exclusivity on frequencies a lot of times. For an existing facility, if they're asking for exclusivity, that would be nobody new. All the contracts I've dealt with cell carriers are anybody existing stays, nobody new, or they've got frequencies that are exclusive.
Explain your first in, first out language that you put in your responsive email.
Last in, first out. So it's a specific term when you're talking about interference issues, problems. I'm sorry. Let me be very specific. To narrow down the best examples with interference. So everything's working today. New carrier comes on, they start interfering with other people, they resolve it. So it's last on, first off, and it's not physically off the tower, it's first to turn their stuff off to resolve it. So basically, who causes the interference, resolve. And it's the last person on.
It would be up to us, city of New Richland, determine who's interfering with who. Right?
No, you guys wouldn't have the resources to do that.
Well, who's going to determine who's interfering with who?
That would be a conversation between the carriers up there. For instance, if
So let's say that Verizon comes to town,
Mhm.
installs some equipment.
Mhm.
You're there 1st.
Mhm.
They install some equipment, and all of a sudden there's this interference. Verizon is saying, hey, their equipment is interfering with our equipment. And of
Mhm.
course, then you're going to say, no, we're not interfering.
well, no, they're literally saying we're interfering with them.
And then what happens when Verizon sues the city of New Richland?
Did they have exclusive use of those frequencies?
I don't think it matters as long as they're interfering. And if we've entered into a contract with Verizon and there's interference and they can't utilize their equipment,
I understand what you're
then
saying.
we have to
Yeah.
hire somebody
Yeah.
to determine who is at fault.
Got it. I understand. I understand the point.
Otherwise, we're going to get sued by Verizon
Okay.
in that situation.
On that point, I'm simplifying a lot, but there are two basic types of frequencies according to the FCC. You've got the frequencies that you have to pay the federal government, and you are to have exclusive use of that frequency.
I get all that. I'm just trying to find a way to avoid that situation, that lawsuit to the city of New Richland by another carrier that would come and there would be possible interference.
Understand?
Because the language that you have proposed, we can't come after you for any interference. And then all of a sudden Verizon is pointing the finger at blame, city council, or a tower rental that they're not getting the benefit of anymore.
Okay.
You see where I'm going with that?
On the surface, yes, there's more details to it. That's what I wanted to explain.
Sure.
So the other frequency that's used according to the FCC is what they classify as unlicensed frequency. And that is the frequencies we are using. Verizon uses other frequencies than what we can use. According to the FCC, in essence, you have to be able to accept it. There is no lawsuit. You can't sue anybody for these frequencies that we're using. If somebody comes on and starts interfering with you, it's between the two companies. Now, according to the FCC, and I guess if you put in your contract that they have exclusive use of the unlicensed spectrum, which is what we're using, then yes, you would have walked into this, you would have told Verizon they can use the spectrum we're using. All that to be said, keep in mind, our goal is to leave. All this becomes completely moot. Our goal is to leave as quickly as possible.
We're actually on contract right now.
And we haven't had a COLA, certificate of liability, received since I've been on council that I know of. You haven't found any, so showing proof that you are insured for our tower, so that puts the city at liability. How do we know that you have that insurance with the city as the,
We can, I'm trying to move forward, so put that in as part of the contract and.
right, but do you have one now because you have equipment up there now on the tower? That insurance
Yeah, we got
liability, because usually most insurance companies will just automatically send it to you. Or to the city that it's withholding with, which we haven't received anything, so that's why I'm just curious.
Are we listed as an additional insured?
The exact details on it is,
It wasn't required before. There is coverage for all of our liability at adequate amounts, just as required by the state.
And I'm just asking, are we listed as an additional?
Just to answer that question, you're not listed as an additional insured. It was not required before. And so therefore,
Steel and Bogdor.
state, everything has been the same way it was when we had our contract. Yep.
So, question, the initial contract was a 5-year contract, and we're 7 years out of that, and you're asking for another 5-year contract with the intent to exit. At the end of 5 years, when maybe nobody that's sitting up here is involved in the city, is that an excuse to go another 7 years before it comes to another head?
written right in the, write it right in the contract. Write it right in the contract. 5 years, vacate, honor this day. No renewal.
Equipment's line of sight, correct? So have you talked to the elevator? They're up there quite a ways. You could put your equipment up there and still have the coverage.
That
you
is
need.
one of the potential options.
How long would it take you to figure that out?
For the elevator specifically, it's private industry. It could be 30 seconds. It could be a year. It's a private entity. I can't speak on behalf of him.
But it would take you a day to decommission this.
Rip everything off. Yes. And that does nothing for any of the customers.
Just thinking of range, so power here reaches, you said about 400 people. So not saying that this is what I'm recommending, but like say the elevator was an option, or do you have equipment on Heartland's water tower? Where that would have, is that something, range perspective?
Okay, from a range perspective, we try to keep people as close as possible to the tower. Each year, the distance gets shorter and shorter. Ideally, nothing more, in a perfect world, nothing more than 4 miles. There's legacy people that are long. And it's depending on the area, sometimes we're even shooting them short. On the 400, that impacts the decommissioning directly served. It's a little bit less than that. We made a fairly significant fiber investment. It's a fiber hub in essence. That's one of the things that takes a while. Fiber goes in and then passes out to other communities. So this impacts other communities because of fiber that we've got in the water tower.
Anybody? Any questions, thoughts?
A motion to move ahead, or do we want a motion so that Jason can draw up language of what's gonna happen either way?
My recommendation to you on even this 5-year proposal is it's going to be the same kind of language that I would have. This was a 20-year contract. It's going to include the indemnification and hold harmless language because we don't know what's going to happen over the course of the next 5 years. It's going to include the insurance. I do think I do think 1 million is light. Do we need 5? It's debatable. Their activity obviously isn't gonna cause, hope wouldn't cause the tower to fail. I think the chance of that happening is slim to none, but I do think 1 million is light. Back in the day, 10, 15 years ago, 1 million, yeah. But, I mean, one personal injury lawsuit with some medical issues, I mean, there's the 1 million right there. I mean, that can go very quickly. So I think 1 million is light. I keep getting back to this rent thing. $1,800 a year. I don't even know where that came from. You know, and I guess what I'm hearing from you is maybe 2,000, or maybe you said 2,000 per year.
We can do 2,000. Let me put it this way, 2,000 a year allows us,
My average is about 1,800 per month. Now, I understand those are national carriers. But I did throw out, and again, this is just me throwing this out here, 1,500 a month. You guys could certainly go lower. You could go higher. It's your decision, but I have 1,500 in here, and I think your response to that was no way, no how, you can't. Am I wrong in that, or?
if that is what you took, then we stated incorrectly. So at 2,000 a month, there are a lot of things in the cell carrier contracts. That
No
they have.
one is saying 2,000 a month.
Okay, the higher the monthly rent, the more you get. It looks like renting a house. If you're gonna spend 5,000 a month for a house versus $300 a month for a house, you're expecting something different.
I get all that. What are you proposing?
So 2,000 a month gives us the following 2 scenarios. The city wants us gone. If we can make a deal with the Green Lake, we can be gone in 6 months, 3 months, we can be gone fairly quickly. If we have to build steel, and then the liability's gone, you don't have to worry about it then. If we have to build steel, we have to have the capital for the steel.
Totally get it.
We have to rebore fiber. I mean, we've got a trench, or we got to bore fiber, which is not cheap. There's more equipment, so it allows us to do that and maintain the customers.
I totally get all
Yeah.
that. I think the council gets all that.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a possibility that if we do not come to an agreement here tonight, you're gonna have some significant investment costs in your operations.
Well,
you said though, and you said this a couple of times, that the city wants you off of the tower. I just want to dispel something. I don't think there's not been a motion made to get you off of the tower. I think the entire discussion that we have been having with you guys is the current contract that is proposed is woefully inadequate. So I don't know that anybody has said that we want you off of the tower. You know, we're going to have to decide whether we're going to renew a contract, but I don't think anyone has said that we want you off of the tower. 1,800 a year is way too low. And the insurance that you have proposed is way too low. You're out of contract. We're under no obligation to give you a contract. You know, could we wait for a national carrier? Yes. Could we do some outreach to national carriers? Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing stopping us from reaching out to AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile and just say, hey, are you interested in this area? Seems like those carriers should be interested in this area if you're the only provider. Now, there would be some market share and gain there for those carriers. And, you know, maybe New Richland does want to do that. I think, you know, I get back to my initial comment. They're out of contract. You have no obligation to do a contract. Do you want to entertain a contract? And if so, on what terms?
Let me just do a quick point. Most of the national carriers are cellular based that tack on internet. We're internet based. I just want to clarify, we're not providing cell service. Correct. We're providing internet service.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, I don't think anyone is expecting you to meet AT&T's 2,000 a month. And 2,000 a month has never even been suggested. I threw 1,500 out, again, just as a starting point.
And if you took it that we said no, that was absolutely not what was intended. It's for a $1,500 a month contract. There are things that are in a 1,500. If we're comparing strictly money, don't care about a local company, don't care about national company, don't care about any of that, just money. In a $1,500 a month contract, there are things you get for a $1,500 a month contract. And I pointed those out in the first email we indicated where there are items that are in national carriers that are not in yours.
Correct.
We accept those so that we can operate at we have a lower customer footprint. We can't handle those costs, so we accept less.
Sure. No, I totally.
If we have a $1,500 a month contract, that is a $1,500 a month contract is a 5-year contract for 25 years with a 2% escalator. That is a contract. I just signed one with T-Mobile. That is the contract.
Yep. Right.
And that's not what we're asking for.
What you're asking for here tonight is essentially 5 years to decommission.
Yep, 5 years. This is gonna prevent you from having people walk up and say, you took away my internet. This is what it allows us so you don't get blowback.
Just so we're clear, if the council entertains a 5-year, it's still gonna have a lot of this language that I have in mind.
And as I point out, I don't have a problem with most of the language.
Sure.
Yeah. There's a lot of standard stuff in the contract.
Correct.
Yeah, there's a lot of standard stuff. It's when you take and do things that are contrary. So, no, they're standard power contracts. Like I think I put in here, the League of Minnesota Cities even has one for you guys that it's got a million little things. You can just cut out paragraphs you don't want, and it's already approved by the lawyers. They've already got it set there. State of Minnesota has one. So the contracts are there and they're written for both parties.
Key question you guys have to, again, ask yourself.
Yes.
Do you want to enter into a contract? Do you want to be tied for 5 years? Only you can make that decision.
Well, I think we should just make a motion. I'll make a motion that we enter into contract for 5 years and they're gone. Do I get a second? Looks like not. So then what are we gonna do? Anybody got any other ideas? We can't just sit here.
Just be advised that the 5 years is the maximum time. It could be a whole lot shorter than that.
I understand.
And that's the whole purpose of what's talking about this is we understand that there's standards that we can't meet anymore as a small business that I do think is very achievable if we were no longer tenant on the water tower. And it would allow us, if we have to first secure property, because first we're going to have to figure out if it's going to be in town or out of town. Then we got to secure building permits, which depending upon what kind of infrastructure we need, we may have to go through federal permitting for FAA regulations. And so there's a whole bunch of red tape, bureaucratic stuff that can pause up to 5 years. And this is exactly what the big cell carriers have had there when they had to transition from a water tower to a pole or a tower. It has taken them 5 years to do so. And so we're using that as a rule of thumb on the maximum amount of time it could take us. Now, that all depends upon what's going to happen. So if we agree to a 5-year contract tonight, that it will be no longer than 5 years, and it could be a whole lot less. We know our marching orders and we have a drop dead date that we can plan for and budget for and get people moved so that either A, They can find a different carrier if we can't do something for them because we can't have a location acceptable for them. But it also allows us the time, if we can find an acceptable avenue, to have the time to build the infrastructure to do so. We've spent a lot of money investment into what we have here on the water tower. And I totally understand the liability aspect of things. I get it. To alleviate all of that, we're just asking for some time to move. And
By
then that-
what he said, I think you're saying that if the grain elevator did, it could be gone in 6 months if they did it tomorrow.
If there can be a, if there can be a contract.
Theoretically.
Yeah, it's,
So your motion,
I hate doing theory, but.
Yeah, I know.
your motion was to just extend what has happened
Under contract, so they can do what they told us.
with,
Yeah.
with what will happen.
The-
We're out.
The other thing is we have to look at, we're spending a lot of city taxpayer money to agree to a contract that they could be gone in 3 months, 6 months. Instead of the 5 years where if
Then we
we,
wouldn't be spending any more money.
right, but you're still spending money, a large amount of money, lawyer fees to, to review this contract. And, we're asking for them to pay while they're here, which, that's what we would want to agree to is have some type of while they're here. But it is also something we have to look at that too, that we're spending taxpayer money on something that could potentially not benefit for very long.
Could you pay $1,500 a month?
It's gonna limit us in a worst case scenario. It's gonna hurt. We would have to abandon stuff.
You'd have to what?
If we have to construct a tower, we're gonna have to abandon things.
You're gonna-
If we have
Abandon.
to build
Oh,
a tower
abandon.
outside of town, we'll have to abandon things.
So I think what we need to decide, maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I think where we're at right now is we need to decide whether we're going to tell them to get it off in basically 90 days. Or we need to tell Jason to drop some terms,
Right.
including this 5-year out,
And
that are different than what is in the current contract right now.
Well,
That's what we need to
We need to
decide.
decide.
100% correct. And I don't even know if I would tie you to the 90 days. I mean, if he said, let's say that they
Yeah.
get hold of the elevator and tomorrow they say, yes, we would love to have you, 2,000 a year, boom, they got an agreement with the elevator. They can be off the tower in a day. They can be on the elevator within a couple weeks.
Let me
I
clarify,
mean,
you can't. So many people are willing to pay their internet provider and not have internet for 30 days and not draw.
I'm just
That, no, seriously, if the internet's out for 24 hours, it's pitchforks. We're a local, that's part of being a
No, I
local
totally get
provider.
But back to that 90 days, I mean, you could say here tonight that the 90 days becomes 6 months or something like that. I think at the last meeting, one of you said 6 months.
If things go perfectly with an existing structure and the answer is immediate, yeah, that's a doable thing. That's a whole lot of ifs.
So let me also explain one thing that Whittemore brought up. He asked if it was direct line of sight. The answer is yes, which means that if we move a location, all of our customers, we have to go to while both sites are operating and physically move. And if we can't move their antenna, now we lost them as a customer, or we might have to physically move it on the house or move it on the property, recable. It's like a whole new installation at that point. And that's for every customer. This is why 6 months is very optimistic when it comes to removing stuff off of a water tower to a new location, is because the line of sight for some folks may not be there. I just wanted to piggyback.
And the only reason I said 6 months, because I believe it was you that said in 6 months,
That is the minimum amount of time, the minimum amount of time that we would normally ask to remove our stuff if we were under a contract that we knew that was coming up, something that we could plan for. This is one of the reasons that we're asking for a maximum of 5 years. It can be a whole lot less. You talk about money about, attorney fees. This is one of the reasons why I suggested using the existing contract that the city had, increase the dollar amount, change a couple of the things that we need to change, which doesn't cost a whole lot of money because you want higher insurance. Fine. Those things are small things at this point. What it would do is it would kick off the gears to say, okay, We have a true deadline of when we need to vacate the property. We need to start now to do it. However that looks is no business to the city, other than the fact that we're no longer a liability to the city. That is what I've heard. The city attorney had made it very clear that we're a liability, and that's fine. We're trying to mitigate the liability without harming our customers.
I never said that your company or that you.
No, you said at the last meeting,
No, I
we
said
are
that-
a liability.
I said that the contract language is deficient. And we need to insert language in the contract that protects the city. I never said that you or your company was a liability. I said that we can and we will do better on the contract language.
All we're asking for is to keep things the way they are. We're going to pay you for being there until we leave, which can be very quickly. That's all we're asking for.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion.
I want to say one thing before you do anything. There's gonna have to be a 1 year or whatever, you know, we have to at least make sure that we get whatever the wage is for that year. And then they have to give us a notice.
Regardless if they leave
They
in
get
3
out.
months or 6
Yeah.
months. Okay, I see.
Like you're gonna get paid that regardless if they leave in 3 months, at least for each, it should be like a year.
Now, I think the only way we can move forward and to make any progress on this is if we authorize Jason to negotiate with them, see if they can come up with, if we can agree with any of their contract language, or if they don't. Because at this point, we're just spinning our wheels, and we just need to get into a contract negotiation, see if we can come to a consensus. If we can, great, and it goes 5 years, perfect, and everybody's happy, I'm good with that.
But again, with the intent.
Hold on, Dan, you haven't been addressed, so we'll let you speak up when it's time. But I think that I would like to make a motion that we allow Jason and Ty to work into a contract negotiation to see if common ground can be met,
And then present it to us
and
at that
present it
point.
to us, and then we vote. Otherwise, I think we're just spinning our wheels over.
Do you want to set a limit on how long the contract negotiation can go on before we have a?
Yeah, probably.
Is it unrealistic?
Is that appropriate, Jason?
Have something done by next month.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Presentation at the next meeting.
Oh, okay.
That's realistic.
And then if not, then do we have a plan, or what would that look like?
If not, we're gonna readdress it.
I'll make a motion to move into contract negotiations and have presentation ready by the next scheduled meeting.
I'll second.
Need some more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm a nay, so.
Just to carry on that discussion, what do you guys expect for? Do you have enough?
What we offer, 2,000?
Here.
No.
No, 2,001.
2,000 year. If I said month, I misspoke. 2,000.
You asked for 1,500 when he said the 2,000, whether it's for your month, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you guys are gonna have to pick a number that you're.
I'm just toss it out there for start 1,500 a month.
1,500 a month.
I can tell you what we're at. We're at $500 a month for the contract that you guys are asking. Because if you look at a $1,500 a month contract, that's an exclusive contract with this nationwide cell carrier. We cannot exceed $500 a month for what you guys are asking for. It's not small potatoes. We can still manage to do what we need to do, and it makes it manageable for both sides.
That's
to give you guys
6,000 a year. That's better than 1,800.
That's tripling the current contract right there. Whether that's the right number or not. Substantial. And then
At that point-
along with some more.
We need a motion for that?
No, I don't think we do. Does the 500 change your direction? Do you want Ty and I to go forward? Or is 500 a no-go for you?
I personally think 500 is okay, because it's going up to 6,000 a year versus 1,800.
I would still want some sort of, like what Josh brought up, I think that's a good idea, where if they can, I wouldn't want them to leave it. We're
If
gonna-
we're leaving
we're gonna
them on,
compromise.
they're gone and we're not having a
We've already-
liability and we
we've
don't
put
get
money.
no more money.
We put money into it, plus we have the aspect of they haven't paid for the last.
So you're
13
thinking the money we're putting into is the lawyer fees?
It's all part of
It's
it.
all of
I
it.
really don't care about that.
I do.
Templates already made that can drop that down. There's options to reduce those fees.
I think if we're gonna move forward into any type of contract, we need a lot of language with more teeth, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
gonna take some lawyering to get it done.
Right.
In all realistic timeframe. Do you think they'll be gone in a month or 2 months?
I have no idea.
No.
I don't think they will, my point.
I don't think so either. I don't think.
I think it points move.
I'm just saying we want a bottom, like 1 year,
Yeah.
a guaranteed year of wage, regardless if they move in 3 months
Toss it
or
out to
6
Jason.
months.
Okay.
You know, you need to have a guarantee, because by the time we have everything set and done with whatever fees, our time, their time, you know. And in a month from now, all of a sudden, we sat here for 2 hours, last 2 meetings to construct a 1 month.
I see your
Please.
point, but sometimes I really don't care if the money's spent. If it's done, it's a done deal.
I just
How
don't,
much money is spent is regardless.
like what I said last meeting, I really don't want to see them just have to up their shop and leave.
And I think there's.
I mean, they're right here, and they're telling us right now, hey, we're the hell off this, tower in 5 years, and it could be sooner.
And that helps keeping pitchforks from coming to our front door.
But, I mean,
But at a different,
yeah,
not same contract.
yeah, not the same. And then it'll be, yeah. When everything gets drawn up, then the ball will be in their court again, and then it'll,
You need any
Right,
more
I can work for
clarification,
that.
Jason?
No, what I'm hearing is 500 a month, guarantee, 1 year, no more than 5.
And can we do anything about the money that hasn't been paid for the last few? Is that, I don't know.
That's up to you guys.
I don't know how important that is to the council. At one point, it was a traded services that stopped at some point.
In your response to me, you've got back rent from notification of termination 2025.
Those are based on a continuing contract. We have known capital costs right now. With what we're talking about, couple $100,000 is what we're talking about. And everything drops it down to where we may not be able to do it.
Well, you're getting a whole year guaranteed.
I don't understand.
They just essentially authorized me to enter into a contract with you for at least a year.
Yes, understand.
That should have value to you.
Not necessarily, because
Yes,
to
I
your
don't
contract,
understand.
if, let's just go on hypothetical here for a second. If we do end up getting on the elevator, if something ends up working out in a month or 2 or 6, now we're paying another 6 months to the city, no matter if we're here or not. So we still have expense with that guaranteed 1 year. It's then becomes a debt, not a bonus for our side. And I'm not opposed to a 1 year minimum, and I understand the reason why. I'm not.
you had
But
7-3.
but
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we're looking at is,
Yeah.
fine, you guys want a 1 year. I'm fine with that.
But you did have,
I speaking, so here's the whole thing. And in my opinion is this. What it's worth. I am looking at vacating this. I'm trying to make it as amenable as we possibly can. And I understand the reason for 1 year because you've got expenses with a lawyer. I get that. Looking back at the other stuff, if we're gonna start negotiating that into this contract, now we're talking a different set of apples. What we're trying to do here is identify that to alleviate everybody's headache from having any further disputes between the city and Radio Link Internet, we just want to vacate the location so that we no longer have this kind of an argument ever again. And in doing so, we are looking at just from this point forward, or whenever we sign the contract forward, If we're gonna go back in time, now we have to bring up all the other stuff. There's a lot of research about what all went on, how timing went, who offered what. It brings up a whole bit ball of wax that I don't think anybody wants to go down. And I just want to have a clean exit so that nobody can point the finger at the other.
Yeah, we can, and I can put that Chinese wall language in the agreement that, you know, the entry into this agreement is a waiver of any and all claims and causes of action that we might have against you, and that you might have against us. I mean, I can put that language in there, but you have to understand that their duties as council members is to negotiate the best lease they can get for the residents of New Richland. And the fact that
It's the residents, it's also.
now I'm talking. And that includes trying to get the best bang for the buck in terms of monetary. We know that during the entire course of this contract, that the amount of rent that you guys have been paying is low compared to other tower rents. We also know for the past several years, we haven't gotten anything.
Remember, the city council also didn't ask for it either.
So
So I wanted to point out one piece. You're not just indebted to the residents of the city, you're indebted or trusted as the taxpayers of the city. I too am a taxpayer of the city. I own property in the
But
city.
you're not a resident of the city.
It doesn't matter. I still have some representation because I still pay city taxes. Do I not?
You do.
So even though I don't reside in the city, which I do agree, I don't reside in the city, I still pay city taxes, which means that I contribute to the liability of the city as far as both on the positive side and a negative side, just like anybody who lives in the city would also have the same liability. So, for example, if the water tower fell down and all of a sudden you needed to raise everybody's tax rates, my rate goes up just like everybody else's. So I am just as culpable for paying for anything that happens as any other resident.
But I don't think you can deny the fact that you haven't paid rent for several years and that the amount of rent that you have been paying has been very low.
For the time, it was not low. It was actually on par with what other cities at the time were commanding.
Dan, I've been doing this for almost 25 years. I can tell you that your rent was low.
I just want to address that, and it was actually brought up by one of our speakers. Dan doesn't own any private islands.
What's that?
Dan doesn't own any private islands. The money goes into the business and it allows us to have lower monthly services, as pointed out. So he's not.
So you're not
Right.
just
We'll
boil it
pass it
down.
along.
You just boil it down. You're not willing to pay anything for back rent.
It would harm us going forward, is what it would do.
I don't think that's good myself. Let's get it done. So is there anything more to discuss about it? Other than we've told him to get the
I
contract
don't
up?
think so.
I don't think so.
During 1 year, no more than 5, possibility of early termination, and I am to bullet this contract up to protect the people in Richland.
We can reevaluate then, once that's.
Yep, and we're talking 500 a month. Right? Sounds good.
On the surface, yes. Again, as I point out in our questions, if theoretically you throw in a poison pill, then I'll come back and say no.
Likewise.
Let's talk about that in the
Standard
contract
contract.
negotiations.
Yeah.
Standard
That are gonna
assumptions.
be commenced by the next 30 days. Let's talk about that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Instead of trying to
We're not gonna do that
negotiate.
here.
Understand, we'll get you a draft for the next meeting.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys next month.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
All right. We're at new business, right?
You're,
Oh, all right, March 26th check register.
it is not prepared yet.
Oh, we should have crossed that
Yep.
off before.
We're hoping to be caught up by May is our objective with some of the issues that we've had with pay, the online
With
service for
static.
utility and all that stuff. There's been trouble.
All right, so then we'll go down to the EDA grant approval for the New Richland Liquor
So this was an EDA grant that EDA had approved back in January that just didn't get brought to the council to approve for their grant for their door. So we just need to, we need an approval to pay that out. Yeah. So we just need a motion to,
I'll make a motion to accept the EDA grant for Richland Liquor.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Administrators report?
Okay. All right, so I broke down the administrator's report into 5 separate memoranda for the month, so I think it was able to get a little bit better information. The first one relates to Deputy Clerk Heather Christensen. We did her annual review on April 6th. I think we can all speak to the expertise and what she brings to the city. Her $5 an hour stipend, while I'm coming up to speed, is a lot, but I think she's worth every penny of it. But we all know going forward that that's not a long-term sustainable thing. Currently she's at pay grade 3, step 3, which is $23.78 an hour. I am recommending skipping steps to pay grade 3, step 7, which is $26.90 an hour, commensurate with what she brings to the table. Obviously this was not budgeted for and will need to be sorted out. And while the budget potential raise for my position was from $46.27 to $48.12, which is a $1.85 difference, which added on to what her budgeted difference would be for one step, it does mitigate that quite a bit. And I am more than willing to forego even the review that qualifies for that raise to get Heather paid commensurate to her abilities.
Can we even do that? Can he turn that step down with his contract for us to give that to her? That's the question I had.
You can, it could be pretty murky and muddy. but,
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you're essentially then revising to wages, revising to contracts.
Yeah, I'm not saying that she's not worth to do that. I mean, we just didn't budget for
Yeah.
some of that. So that's where my concern was for that part of it.
I'll go back that we did budget again for a full-time officer. We are now in April for 2020.
right, but we've also been
That we have not paid.
correct, but we've also transferred some of that money over to the streets for improvements as
Only
well.
last year, well, we took 30 grand off, but
Yeah, but we put it towards the street project and they were over budget for that estimate too.
correct. We're here in the 4th and that's another, how many, what's their budget for salaries compared to what we still haven't paid? I mean, what my point is, I think we're still money ahead with what we haven't paid to not take away Ty's raise and to get Heather. We could potentially be, and we're still money ahead.
But I think we just have Drew and Denise if I'm correct.
Sorry, I'm not.
So, I mean,
So I'm saying I would be on board with giving Heather the raise and not take away Ty's step.
Yeah.
Schedule step. That's where I would be at.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I do really appreciate it too, and I don't really like pulling from another budget too and everything either. And I don't want pulling from Ty either. So that's where I'm at too. Like I do not want to pull from someone else's
Yeah, I
budget and not pull
appreciate
from
the-
Ty. So whatever you guys were to come up with, I would be happy with, because still at the end of the day, we did know after everything was said and done, the stipend would go away, but I did know my review was also coming up. I am still doing a lot, and I think we're kind of looking at stuff to take on more anyway, being my job description did change. So I am taking on a lot more and a lot more off of his plate as well, I think, full-time now. So that's just my piece on it.
Why don't we just wait till both of their evaluations are over, then they could decide.
This is why. Yeah. So the other thing is it's been wonderful, yes. Is you could do the initial step that she's doing and then say, come January, we reevaluate it where we can budget it into the next year's budget. It'd only be a few months that it would be without that extra increase, and then just increase it then. And then that way it's not pulling from anybody's budget. That would be an idea as well. And then you don't get that pulling from other departments too.
Like Senator Dirksen said, a billion here, a billion there. Pretty soon you're talking real money.
Oh, I know.
No.
That was just
I
my,
agree
that's
with
my
what
2
Matt
cents.
said about just bump her up and give Tyler his increase when it's due. I mean, we'll find the money. It's not, we're not.
The stipend's due to come off, right? That's.
Mhm.
Yeah, when his training and everything was fully done, that
That's right.
Are you making a motion?
I'll make a motion to move Heather Christensen from pay grade 3 to pay grade 7.
All right, any discussion? Otherwise, all in favor?
Aye.
City Hall repainting / mural.
Yes. Hold on, let me-
Mhm.
a bit of typing here. All right. So the addition to the city hall building that we're currently sitting in has become a bit of an eyesore from the outside. Paint is peeling from the cinder block wall all around the building. This could also accelerate damage to the building. I'm requesting permission to obtain current contractor estimates. Eric obtained one last year for $5,500 in labor and believes that all the supplies would cost well under $10,000 to do that. Once the work is complete, I'd like to partner with NRHEG to run a student contest, develop mural designs specific to New Richland, and give them an opportunity to express their creativity. Then you guys will have the opportunity to choose what design you want to put in. City would pay for the paint supplies, and then it would go on the back entryway on that white wall. Oddly enough, I was looking at our ordinances earlier for painting and such in town, and I think that our current building as it sits right now would be in violation of the 20% painted rule with how much is peeling and cracking. So we need to set an example at the very minimum. If we do a mural or not is, I think, immaterial to just sustaining the building that we have.
You're saying materials is 10 plus then labor? So
Yes.
15?
Yeah. He thinks it's well under 10, but that was the napkin math.
What would be the cost of the paint and stuff for the students to paint the mural?
It kind of depends on what they come up with. But more than likely.
Is that something that we could have Dave from the CETA? Because they have some grants for some of
Yeah,
that type of stuff that he's talked about with our EDA.
Yeah.
Of murals around town, of improving them and being creative.
I know Smithfield.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's any coming available where even it would be where it would help with some of our costs for the painting first.
What's the timeline? This year yet?
It could be painted by the end of summer if we catch a contractor early enough, and then fall timeline, do the art contest, and spring install the art.
Very good.
And then, if it goes well, we have an entire blank wall back here that, first responder or any kind of something that would let the kids be creative and maybe make a reason that people might come through and, look at the building or come into the building would definitely be beneficial. And tie us even more into the community.
I like the idea of looking at the grants too.
Yeah.
Something looking off at some of that.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we just direct you to go look at all that stuff and see what the total price is gonna be? And come back to us next month. Because then we don't push it off too far, but still we have a concrete dollar amount, or at least somewhat. concrete.
Getting some bids from more than one person, because I feel like we need to have some extra bids here.
And have you talked to the school?
I have not yet. I didn't want to step out of line with engaging other organizations for this.
Okay. Then that's where I would ask you to then on this one. To see how interested they are. And say, can you give us an estimate of what the painting would cost that you guys do?
Yeah, I don't know if the art teacher would be inclined to do that or not. I'm not sure.
You don't ask, you don't get it.
Right.
That was a motion then, Jason?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Homestake subdivision.
There's a motion and a vote.
Motion
second.
vote, sorry. Getting ahead of myself, wanting to leave. All in favor? Aye.
This is purely for information. We had a meeting with Wayne Billing over the phone, some of the members of EDA and myself, to kind of get more information about the homestake addition, what the original intent was when they set up the tax incremental financing, district, and what their intent was with that. And we determined that it wouldn't be against the intention to engage with builders to come in and start building out there versus having private parties go through the process themselves. And with the benefit of having properties go back on the tax roll much sooner than we've been seeing, spoke with and met with Miller Homes and saw one of their models in Ellendale, and it is beautiful work. Like, I made the comment that if my wife was with, I'd be busting out the checkbook right now. She'd be wanting to move in tomorrow. They did great work. They want to be on 2 lots building at the same time this summer. And then Lindy Homes is a modular home builder, I believe from north of the cities. Modular usually scares people off when they hear that word. They said that the work that they do is as good or better than traditional stick construction, because they're able to build it in controlled environments and then basically assemble it on site. And I'm hoping to take the opportunity to tour and see one of their models as well, just to make sure they're not blowing smoke. But that they'd also want to do 2 homes, so we could potentially have 4 more homes in the addition by the end of the year, if this goes through. So this is just information only, no action required.
It'd be up to the builders to sell it, correct?
Correct. Yeah, so we would have no ownership. It would just be transferring it off.
I've got a question. Who are the owners of Miller Home?
Neubauer, I believe, is their last name. They used to live here in town, I believe, right across from the shop.
They're really great to work with.
Yeah. From the city shop.
Oh,
I believe that's where they live. But I have a strong feeling they're going to be very easy to work with through this process. All right. And then I registered for a free seminar hosted by Minnesota Rural Water on financing community projects. Seminar is scheduled for April 23rd from 8:30 to 3 at the Nisswa Community Center. And I booked myself a hotel room using personal funds totaling $80.82. You can reimburse if you choose to. If not, I'm not going to sweat it.
You have money that's budgeted.
$80.
Oh, I didn't.
Is it a real Del Motel or what do you think?
I'm in the tent behind the hotel. You'll find out I'm not fancy. I'll sleep on a cot. It doesn't bother me any. Oh. All right.
It's all about saving money.
I mean, I think we budget money for this type of stuff.
Yeah.
We should be reimbursing it. So
Make a motion to pay back Tyler, the city administrator, $80.82 for his hotel room.
all in favor?
Let's have a discussion.
You want a
I want you
discussion?
to have a report of what you saw.
Well, I will bring it back.
I'm kind of curious, real water grant.
How about the money for, you gotta eat, how about some money for?
Well, I got to eat anyway.
I know that.
They'd be under a certain amount, so.
Yeah. People tease me about what my fiscal policy is, and I say I drive a Hyundai. It can't be that extravagant.
Water treatment plant?
Yep. And it just kicked me out. Give me a second. So I'll just give you the high level overview of the water treatment plant issue. One of the chosen contractors has not delivered on his promises. Here it is. Let me bring it back up to full screen. So little progress has been made. Contractor was paid $9,121.33 on April 8th of 2025, so over a year ago, with a total contract value of $27,364. To my knowledge, there was no signed contract with established timelines, though the maintenance supervisor believes a September 2025 completion date was discussed. So after I started, the contractor approached for an additional payment. I could find no evidence of being due under previous agreements, and little work had been done. I determined that no further payment should be rendered until the project was completed. Since September, the maintenance supervisor has documented all instances in which the contractor stated that he would show up and complete the work, but failed to either appear or make any progress. This has been coming to a head and has resulted in a signed form on the contractor's letterhead stating that if the work was not done by March 18th, 2026, there would be no final invoice. This deadline has been missed. The city administrator has had discussions with the city attorney about whether this is actionable or what steps the city of New Richland needs to take next. But pursuing legal actions to recover funds spent on work not delivered may be necessary.
Do we know what he has all done, or that some of that 9,000 has been paid to him rightfully so, because he did some work?
It could be argued. I mean, there is a cabinet put in place there.
It's an expensive cabinet.
Yeah, and some wiring run, but we're getting a whole lot less than we're paying for.
I didn't know what's all been completed.
We could try to put together a best estimate of what is there material wise, but
Did he give us a breakdown of what expense was when?
Not to my knowledge. I think all that we saw was, well, you saw at that time was the price and what he wanted to accomplish, as far as I can tell.
I was just thinking if we had something back on one of the agenda meetings that we approved, showing a breakdown of what everything was.
Oh, I'll go back and look again, but I don't believe
Yeah,
so.
there should be an estimate or something.
Yeah,
That's what the $27,364 came from.
but I would have thought we would.
Was to get paid a third of that right away.
Yeah, I think
Is what it was.
Right.
And then I was just advised that whole time that it was just me, no matter what, till it is done. Rest is not paid. That's all that we had to go up.
Okay.
So
Tell you right now exactly when he did it, and I want to say it was April of last year.
Right, April 8th was in the.
Yeah.
Well, we have no signed written contract.
not to my knowledge. I think it was basically just the past motion.
Well, we can certainly do some document gathering. You guys can do some document gathering to see if we can account for that $9,100, and if we have to send out a demand letter, we can do that, but I don't know if you guys want to be paying me
Right.
to chase money.
I think we need to exhaust all our options here first.
Yeah.
And sending letters first, and then.
Well, I think what this brings up though is that maybe we need a plug and play simple work contract where, we're paying you this for this work. We expect it by this date. I mean,
Well,
just so that we
we-
can be protected for things like this.
We should be having that plus I'm gonna say this till I'm blue, but should have some type of COLA for insurance of him working in our buildings as well. So that's any business that comes in and does any work on city property.
Well, not to pile more work on Jason's plate, but maybe that's a bit simple work contract we should drop that we can just fill in the blanks.
We
when
might even
necessary.
Might even be able to
Find
find something on Minnesota League of Minnesota too.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Start there and then
Yeah.
go from there.
No. Okay.
If we can't find anything.
All right.
I don't
So
know.
That is
What
the
you got?
summation of my report.
Okay.
Make a motion to accept the administrative.
Well, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Council, anybody have any discussion?
One thing I wanted to look into at some point, I'm not saying this is top priority by any means, but townhomes down on Sixth Street, where things stand with the grant and how they were paid for, and what kind of return on investment we're getting from paying Lloyd Management Company. Could we not pay Lloyd Management Company in the future? Take that on more ad hoc work with local contractors, that type of thing. And make money as a city off of those a little bit more than passing that, kind of working as a pass through for Lloyd Management.
I think we're paying them a little, like $400 a month on it for.
Yeah,
That's, I don't know what it is.
it's very little.
So maybe it's just asking, maybe the question should be is, what are the financials of it look like?
And the problem is having enough work staff, because it would be staff that would have to do the repairs,
Right.
Yeah,
and
stuff then
contract,
farm
yeah.
bigger stuff like that.
right?
I'd
We're,
just be curious if there's a way for the city to make a little bit of.
They collect the rents, they get the new tenants in there. they
yeah, we don't do any of it.
Take a lot of the stuff out of our office.
I understand, but I also don't think the city's making a lot of money on it. I think that potentially, if it was done right, we could make a little bit of money on it. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I'd be curious to know if there was
Okay.
more information.
We got a pretty good cash flow from that
Yeah.
place.
Isn't it partly though because it's low income that we have certain guidelines that we have to follow too? So that's part of it where we can't charge anymore. We only have so much we can charge, that type of thing.
At least I'm curious to know what's the.
I can start sending you the Lloyd Management statements. No, you as well. Like,
Well, the reason I think that is because you do have a new plumber in town, you got Straight River and Electric. And if it comes to changing a light bulb, we got maintenance staff that can change light bulbs.
No plumber.
Yeah,
well, now there's 2 plumbers in town, 2 new.
I was just thinking that route, if you could keep it, and then you'd have like mow or do snow and Jacob Schuler mow on. But if it's not worth the time,
Be very curious.
at least then you're keeping the money in home.
It seems there's a lot of demand for them because you're people talking about it, but on the waiting list.
Well, I mean, they're always full.
Never not been full. So
Mhm.
I really-
There's a
Everything
waiting
that can be
list.
done.
If it was worth that, if it makes that much money, I'll come, and then the town never built another set.
Financing.
I think it's too cheap, but I guess if
They're not
also,
paying a dime mortgage on that.
Right.
Mhm.
I just think it's too cheap for living.
Wasn't that paid off? Oh, God.
No,
But that's
No,
part of what a
It's
HUD
still-
is
it's still
too.
low.
It's low
There's still
income.
outstanding mortgages, but we're not paying a dime.
Oh, I see your point.
It's
kinda like
forgiven the more years we have it.
Yeah.
So
Hope we put some of those in the homestead. Can you do that? I don't know.
We can look into engaging another mortgage for it and see what that would bring.
Seems they work well. People that live there like,
mhm.
is there an opportunity for the city to get involved in more of that?
All right,
Like a motion to adjourn the meeting.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. See you in May. My God. My brain is starting to fry at the end.
Another one on the books.
What?
I love it.